Hey everyone, thanks so much for checking out this video. I'm Ryan Sloan for The Gear Cage, and today we're going to talk about choosing your monitors for your home studio. I'm going to cover the basic things you need to know, some tricks to optimize your experience and performance, and then tell you a few of my favorite monitors at various price points. As always, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you do want to skip some of the informational section, look in the table of contents below to go to my favorite monitor suggestions, okay? Let's go.
All right! Yes!
Choosing studio monitors for a home recording setup or a commercial studio is a critical part of the decision-making process. Your monitors are potentially the single most important pieces of gear in your studio because everything, whether it's mic'd up or coming out of a keyboard and track direct, goes through them. They're the glue that binds your whole studio. Now, before we talk about my favorite monitors, let's talk about some basic things to know. First, let's talk about monitor size. You hear a lot of people tell you not to get monitors with woofers too big for the space or the ability to let the waveform complete a cycle through the space. The reality is that you're going to have issues with low frequency content in just about every home studio because the size of the rooms that we have available, they're not generally huge. They're not immense spaces. For instance, did you know that the wavelength of content at 40 hertz is 28.3 feet? Now, we could go into the specifics of what that all means for your studio, but in simple terms, acoustic gremlins are going to pop up in your space, especially in the low frequency side of things. So all that means choose what you want speaker and woofer wise. It just doesn't matter that much. And this leads us to point 2, acoustics. I get it, acoustics aren't necessarily a sexy topic. We're going to talk about them more in a future episode in this series, but they're also one of the most important things to consider as you do plan your studio. Don't skimp here if you can avoid it. In fact, look for an acoustician to get involved to really do it the right way. I'm going to give a shameless plug to my friend Gavin over at Haverstick Designs. Not only is Gavin an amazing guy, but he's really great at all things acoustics. I'll put a link to his site and his company in the notes down below. Another stopgap that you can do to try and tame acoustic issues is room correction software. I haven't implemented my acoustic treatment ideas yet, so I'm relying on software called SoundID from Sonarworks. It identified my room issues and helped compensate for them, and it made a massive difference. Point 3, try to plan as much as possible for the future. Know that if you get an 8 or 10-inch studio monitor, you're typically going to have more potential volume, and you're also going to have more low-end or low-frequency extension. If you prefer to mix at a low volume, maybe a set of 5 or 6.5-inch monitors may be for you. Sometimes it's even good to have sets of both on hand to check your mixes. And although it can add some complexity in your balancing your levels, adding a subwoofer to a smaller set of monitors can add a lot of fun factor and let you feel your mixes a little bit more. So that's a popular way to go too. And I think if you do want to add a subwoofer, you may also want to consider adding a monitor controller to your setup. And we'll talk about those in the near future in a little more detail, but they do allow you to do things like switch between multiple sets of monitors with the press of a button. And maybe more importantly, they allow you to turn the subwoofer on and off at will. They also allow you to switch input sources, which can be really handy to quickly check from a CD source or a Bluetooth source and your Pro Tools session. I use the Grace Design M905 monitor controller in my studio, and I can't say enough good things about it. But again, More on that soon. All right, it's the lightning round. Before I tell you my favorite monitors, some other things to know really quickly. Monitor isolation. When you set your studio monitors on a surface directly, they actually connect to that surface. It changes the way the monitor sounds and the accuracy of the monitor. And there are products that will help you decouple the monitors from your desk or stands. My favorites are the Auralex Pro Pads, the Acoustic Pucks, and the Acoustic ISO stands. I'm actually using the Acoustic stands in my studio here with my Focal Trio 6 BE monitors. Next, monitor porting is a big deal. Here's the basic gist of the story. It's hard to make a good, linear, sealed studio monitor because of the acoustics of a closed system and things like amplifier heat dissipation and power required. There are some out there, but they're generally pretty pricey. Manufacturers employ tuned ports, or those little holes you see in the backs or fronts of speakers, to make smaller boxes reach down lower frequency response wise. A lot of monitors employ rear porting, so that's where you see the circular port on the back, again, meaning the port is on the back of the monitor, and that can be problematic for low end in home studios where the monitors are typically up close to a wall. In many home studio situations, I think front porting is the way to go as long as the monitor is designed well. Now, let's talk about my favorite monitors at given price points. I think the best studio monitors right now, under $500, are the Kali LP series monitors. As of the recording of this video, you can get a set of the Kali LP6 version 2 for just $398 a pair. And these things are really, really shockingly good. So this is just a steal at this price point. They're front ported, they feature DSP controlled by the dip switches on the back, and you just really can't go wrong. So if you're looking to stay under that $500 range for a really great set of monitors, the Kalis are the way to go. In the $500 to $1,000 range, there are a lot of great options as well. I really like the Focal Alpha series here. They have a bit of a low frequency bump in my experience, but they're still really nice to mix on, and it's easy to get good results with them quickly. They're also another front ported model. You can get a set of the 8-inch Alpha 80 Evo monitors for $998, or they have a 6.5-inch Alpha 65 Evo that might be the sweet spot. Those are just $798 a pair as of the recording of this video. In the $1,000 to $3,000 range a pair, I have a few sets that are my favorite and for different reasons. One set to check out would be the Adam Audio A8H series. Adam manages to have a nice large sweet spot, and this is technically a three-way monitor, meaning it can go from the low frequencies all the way to the high frequencies, so it almost has some of those sub-frequencies included in a three-way design. In fact, the A8H series boasts low-end response down to 34 Hertz at -3 dB, which is pretty incredible. And perhaps the killer app with these monitors is direct integration with that Sonarworks SoundID software I was talking about. So you can compensate for room issues in the speaker itself and save the EQ curve. This is massive. This really streamlines the process and makes getting accurate sound easy. Next, I'm going to suggest the first 2.1 system. I have to give that to Genelec. Now, Genelec does have a SAM system that works in a similar way to Sonarworks SoundID built into it, but the price range on that system can jump up pretty considerably. If you have the money to spend, it's a worthy investment, but Using two of the Genelec 8030C monitors in tandem with their 7050C subwoofer is a really great system. Also, the ergonomic design of these monitors is second to none. They take up very little space and they're just sleek looking in general. A similar system idea in this price range would be the Neumann KH750 10-inch subwoofer paired with two of their KH120A monitors. Those are 5 1/4 inch monitors, and I like the KH120A on their own in terms of clarity, but I really like them paired with this subwoofer for a nice full range system, which is why I put them in this category. It does put us at the top of our scale around $3,000, but again, it's a very pro level setup. Lastly, let's talk about monitors over $5,000. When you get here, you're talking about the best of the best in terms of monitoring, things that you'll find in high-end commercial studios in many cases. But we can't let the price alone dictate what we think of a set of monitors. Even the $400 Kali monitors we started the list off with are amazing by comparison. But getting enhanced transparency, more linear power amplifiers and headroom, and a wide sweet spot are all very positive things. The bottom line is this: if you can mix faster and enjoy the mixing process more with a set of really high-end monitors, it's worth doing, as obviously time is the most valuable resource we have, and if you can mix faster and have more fun doing it, that's kind of what we're going for here. Here are my top 3 sets of monitors over $5,000. First is the ATC SCM25A. These are custom designed and built in England, and they make all of their own components too. So a lot of companies will source other pieces from other companies across the globe to make their monitors. Nothing wrong with doing that, but when you have complete control from front to back, that's a huge thing. So it's custom from front to back, and you can hear it when you listen. They have extremely low distortion and extremely wide sweet spots and a massive soundstage that let you hear even the smallest details on your mix. Simply put, these are the best monitors that I personally want. Coming back down to earth just a little bit, away from that $10,000 price tag, that takes us to what I would call the most practical high-end studio monitor out there, which is the Focal Trio 6BE. It's what you'll see here in my studio at the Gear Cage. I've loved Focal monitors for a long, long time, and I've done tons of mixes on their monitors, and even a few software-related products I've made have been mixed on Focal monitors. In many ways, this monitor is the sweet spot in the high end. It's not inexpensive at $29.99 each, so $6,000 for a pair, but it gets you so close to performance from companies like ATC or Barefoot. In fact, I'd actually prefer the Focal over Barefoot, that it's a worthy trade-off. That's why when people are trying to get high-end monitors within a certain budget, I'll always try to go with a Focal Trio monitor if possible. Lastly, I have to mention the PMC6 monitors. They're also an incredible value for their cost and will perform in a similar way to the Focal Trio 6 series. Extremely detailed, clean, linear response on top of standard monitoring related amazingness. These also feature a combo analog and digital AES port, so you can hook them up to a digital output if you have one to keep the number of analog to digital conversions down, and it does have a high-end converter inside the speaker to take the digital signal to analog. So I hope you enjoyed this video. There's so much more we could have covered, but as you can see, this one went really long. It's a really deep topic. If you do have any questions, let me know. You'll find links to everything I talked about below. I'm Ryan Sloan for the Gear Cage, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.